Chapter 5. Realization. Realization comes to you at the moment you have established the consciousness of your unity with God, the moment in which you can say, I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. Realization is largely a matter of feeling as a result of knowing. You rest in a new security. You have a feeling of satisfaction and accomplishment, of joy and achievement. You are at peace, for you know your problem is already solved, your need met, your desire granted. But the dominant feeling is gratitude. Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me. Then, like Solomon, you make an end of praying. If you do not emerge from the period devoted to the silence with a feeling of quiet and confidence, you have proof that some barrier of your own making has kept you from crossing the threshold of the door to the closet. Go back over your steps. Did you try to enter with a divided mind? Was the world too much with you? Was the evidence of the senses too overpowering? Do not be discouraged, but try again. The barrier is man-made. The door to the secret place of the Most High is never closed. You must listen for the word of God. By entering the silence, you have said with Samuel, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. Now your part of the work is to hear the answer, to follow the voice of intuition, to accept the means by which your desire is to be accomplished. Change may come wholly within you, or it may come in your environment. New opportunities to serve others may appear. Seize them, act upon them. Jesus' realization enabled him to see health instead of sickness, to see plenty instead of lack, to see life instead of death. Your desire, rightly placed in mind, has precedence and power over everything in your world. The process of realization is fourfold. You must know that the universal mind receives your desire, accepts it, acts upon it, and produces it in form. In quietness and confidence shall be thy strength. Briefly, there are only 3 steps to any prayer. 1. Recognition of the Spirit, of omnipresence, of omniscience, or omnipotence. 2. Affirmation of man's place in this spiritual creation, of his power to receive untold blessing, of your individual right and privilege, and of your capacity to receive what you have asked for. 3. Gratitude for awareness of your oneness with God and for your knowledge that the blessing you desire is already yours. Unbroken consciousness of the presence of God is the fulfillment of the command to pray without ceasing. Our need is to be constantly conscious of our unity with God, to be aware of the presence within every single moment. When consciousness and awareness become habitual, realization follows automatically. The moment we aspire to know the truth, we accept the responsibility involved in attaining this state of consciousness. There is no magic formula by which it can be achieved, but the daily practice of setting aside a definite period devoted to the silence is a means of strengthening our desire and our receptiveness. The more spiritual our development, the more constantly are aware that we live and move and have our being in Him. When this contact is broken, it is possible to restore it in the flash of a second. There is no barrier except that our own human thinking, which tends to be concerned with the evidence of the senses. The concept of time and space are products of our own thought. No formula is required to make this entry, and none is efficacious in itself. The spiritual understanding developed while using any formula is the real instrument of power. Those who find it difficult to enter the closet may profit by following a pattern of procedure in their first experience, which should be recognized for what it is, a temporary step in strengthening the spiritual faculties. Drill in acquiring any skill is forgotten when one becomes proficient in its use. The typist doesn't have to think of the placement of the letters and symbols on the keyboard or of the position of her hands. The driver in an automobile forgets the steps in the learning to drive process, but uses the knowledge he acquired automatically. The period in which learning took place has retreated into the background of experience. You will find specific exercise to help you open the door to the silence in the appendix on pages 60 to 66. You will discover your own key to the door as you continue your practice. For some person, the door is opened merely by desire or intent. Others have conditioned themselves to highly individual means. I think of a friend who visualizes a perfect rose and loses herself in its perfection, or another who precipitates the feeling of being immersed in power as if it were a warm bath. One member of my parish put the experience which she mentally repeats at will into verse. I use it here with her permission, but by her request unsigned. That infinity and I related are, was taught me by the ocean and a star. I was lost in the booming, the surging, the roar, detached by the night from the limiting shore, freed by the motion so patterned unending. Then the truth spoke to me, my body transcending. The star and I were suspended in space, and I knew that God was in his place. Since that rare and precious moment by the sea, I have known my oneness with infinity. When thou prayest, enter into thy closet, soul, and when thou hast shut the door, or detached yourself from the current of human thought and material beliefs, pray to the Father, the universal mind, which is in secret, and thy Father, which seeth in secret, shall reward thee openly, and will cause your desire to be objectified.